Hello the channel. That's the intro now. That's the intro. Everybody's laughing at it. I don't know, are they? We'll keep it going. Welcome to Gallery Builder video or Gallery Review video. So in terms of this video, I'm just going to talk a bit about what the plans are for the upcoming season. Obviously, did do a sort of general Euro picks video before, and actually that was the most popular video that I've done. So I don't know how long this is going to take. I'm just going to grab a cup of tea, chat through, explain a few moves, have a chat about strategy for the season ahead, etc., and hopefully give people some hints and some tips as well. We're on the old gallery view, and there'll probably be a few things jumping out at people. We'll come back to that in a wee minute. Obviously, been buying a wee bit of late as well, Tadic, etc. So, first thing to point out is in Kahuna, I know you watch the videos and stuff. It's great to catch up with you in the Sorare Odyssey Zoom. He was asking me earlier, where does my money come from? Well, it comes from Sorare. So, first and foremost, we had a wee bit of a big deal recently, and let's see if we can find it. Bloody hell, what is happening here? So I flicked onto my activity page and found the section with received offers. So this is what everyone in all wants. They want to see. It's an offer from Flow State. Welcome to the game, Flow State. Spending a lot of money. I hope you're enjoying it. Hope you're winning. And yeah, so that this happened. So firstly, I'd listed the Greg Taylor unique, and also I'd listed Starfelt. So a couple of reasons for that. Probably go into depth a bit more on that on the actual Celtic preview content, but in terms of prices, etc., I'd listed both of these cards up for, I think, slightly less in total than the sort of advertised fee here. I don't think I've really made a huge profit on these cards combined. I think the biggest profits actually been the winning All-Star unique, winning Courtois Super Rare, Andy Robertson unique, and obviously a bit of F there as well. But yeah, a really good deal, obviously, with Brendan Rodgers coming in. Celtic signed a centre half who may well be a backup actually to Starfelt and Carter Vickers, and I think Taylor will still start the season as number one left back as well. But the transfer window is still open at the moment, and who knows? Maybe Celtic bring in some players. There's no specific rumours or anything regarding that, but yeah, that's a big, obviously, chunk of Ethereum to get in for those two cards. And yeah, I mean, it's difficult for me, well, even more difficult for me to sell Celtic cards, but sometimes you get an offer after you've listed cards and you've just got to sort of listen to your head over your heart and take it. With Starfelt coming in, there's been some rumours of him potentially going to Russia, etc., which wouldn't be too bad, to be honest, in terms of scoring, but obviously I had him mainly for being at Celtic. So the other thing is, so just to come back to the actual gallery, like these wee filters are really good. I'm in a fortunate position where I've got two Cameron Carter Vickers super rares, so that's a really nice position to be in, and obviously you've got to factor that into your decisions when you're selling cards, etc. So I'll come back to what I've sort of been doing with that. First thing to point out obviously is I've taken one unique down, so Phil Max might contribute something at some point. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be more than a physio bill. He'll always be fit under the new fitness because he doesn't seem to be playing a lot at the moment. But hopefully he gets back to actually playing, and I think at Eintracht he could be quite good actually if he's staying fit. Furu's Furu, obviously been banging in the goals, just signed a new contract as well, which is absolutely brilliant. So it's good to have that sort of stability behind him. Matt O'Reilly obviously has been excellent and has been starting all the pre-season games pretty much as well, which is good. Nico Serrano is a really interesting one. I think he might be going to Pexwola on loan, which would be an absolutely brilliant move. So obviously went out on loan last season at La Liga 2 and didn't really do that much, to be honest. But if he went to Holland, that would be great. I would really love that move. It'd be a really good place for him to develop. Jordan Larson has been excellent. So obviously one of the factors in the decision to say, okay, I'll take the the cash for Greg Taylor was the fact that I've got a wee bit of choice, obviously, in unique level now, which is excellent. Andy Robertson, come back to the wee minute. We're talking about Allison and Eo Tanaka. I thought he might move actually, but put in a reasonable base the other day for I think it's Dusseldorf he plays for. I don't know. In Germany Bundesliga too, so good to see him back. He was injured last season, so managed to pick him up. I think at an absolutely superb price for a unique of a guy of that age, and obviously got a bit of pedigree, mainly in the J League. He's not really done much in Europe, but gives me another option in terms of the unique level. So onto the plans for the gallery. Obviously, this is going to jump out, so we'll just talk about it first. So we've made a move into buying an Alison Becker Super Rare. I have to say, to be honest, about a year and a half ago in Sorare, I just never thought I would ever own a card like this. So, like, this is quite a sort of cool moment, to be honest. Like, just incredible. Like, actually, really think I'm actually in a position to own stuff like this. Just mad. So, I think this made a lot of sense. Obviously, having the Robertson unique is not really something I'm going to be looking to sell anytime soon as well. So he's going to be staying in my gallery. Scotland captain, plays a lot for Liverpool, does well for Liverpool. He's not 36 or anything, he's still got a good few years left in him. Who knows what he does. Hopefully doesn't end up in Saudi Arabia. It's too hot there. Although Jack Hendry went, so I was going to say it's too hot, so a Scotsman will not end up in Saudi Arabia, but Jack Hendry's there. How the hell did that happen? Jack Hendry. Imagine having all that money and sitting in the room in the Letifac and there's like Steven Gerrard and stuff like that. Who are we going to sign him? Jack Henry? That's not even a Scouse accent. Don't ask me what accent that is, but how did that happen? How were they sitting in the room at Al Ettifaq going, do you know what? I think we'll fucking sign Jack Henry. Anyway, moving on. So I don't think Robertson's a big risk. Obviously, Scottish captain and everything, they can use him in certain games. Alison Becker, I think, is good for two reasons. Firstly, last season he had a really good average at Liverpool, even though they weren't really that good at the back. So, he's done pretty well, and I think Liverpool will be good this season. So I can use him with Robertson, and if I don't use him with Robertson, I can also use him with like Trent or Virgil or Robertson in terms of the Rare Pro as well. So a kind of versatile card. At the moment, All-Star Unique, you can still enter one Super Rare. So obviously the vulnerability in my own gallery is I don't have any unique goalkeepers. So if they ever change that, that's, going to be a wee bit of an issue for me. But it's just so expensive. Like, remortgage your house to buy a unique goalkeeper. So anyway, it is what it is. Diego Rossi, I picked up. That was just a sort of cheap limited buy. I think he's been linked back heavily to the MLS. So if he goes to Atlanta, it'd be pretty good there. And thought he would, if at £5, like, just thought that was just insanely cheap. Like, you look at like Giacomakis and stuff, goes for like 30-40 quid or whatever. Just thought that was a nice buy. Ederson's one I picked up as well. So a couple of reasons for this. Firstly, I sold Alexander Nubel. I really just think the dream of him going to be the Bayern goalkeeper is probably on the wane at this point. So, he's gone on loan to Stuttgart. Stuttgart are not bad, Mavropanos pretty good defensively, and he'll maybe put up some good numbers there, but this stage I'm not really looking for not bad. I just thought it was a good time to sort of scale up a wee bit. So Ederson comes in, obviously a bit more pricey than Nubel, so part of some of the movements in and out. And I've actually got John Stones Super Rare as well. So I thought John Stones was actually an interesting price this a couple of months ago as well, Man City player, defender card, playing in midfield, and obviously Rodri doesn't really get rotated as much as some of the other guys in terms of Pep Roulette. So they'll still have some Pep Roulette there, I'm sure, but I think it looked pretty good as midfield. So, yeah, that was kind of a choice to dovetail in with him. Nicholas Madsen, so this guy had a really, really good game last game, and everybody's, it was FOMO into obviously buying someone, but now that the Kuiper's left Westerlo, Madsen seems to be on sets and penalties as well. So he's a guy who obviously scores wise, he's a sort of defensive type midfielder. This is a head of main card, but you'll see even like the scores he was doing. He was doing some nice scores last season, So if you start adding in like to these base scores, like penalties and things as well, or even just more set pieces, then he could be a really good scorer. So again, some money into super rares, and I'll talk about scarcities and things later on. Iwata and Stephen Welsh, obviously, the point where I was thinking about selling Starfelt, there was some talk of him maybe going. So Welsh was a kind of twofold thing. He's actually been pretty good in the preseason games, so he could be a good backup, and also with Starfelt going in a rare level as well, it kind of bumped down the collection a wee bit, so replaced him. And Iwata been playing it right back. Obviously, Ralston and Alice Johnson have been injured for Celtic. Coming down here, obviously, Dusan Tadic. So this was a pretty interesting one, and again, kind of almost one of those you think, am I just like FOMOing into this guy? So 97 against probably quite a poor team, obviously, in the Champions League qualifiers. But interestingly, after I bought him, 5 cards have sold, and they've sold at 791, 748, 749, 900, and then obviously as Lister plays came in, other ones not been listed. Somebody's paid 0.7 or £1,000. So yeah, when you kind of do that buy and you've got the balance, you go, I'm just going to buy him now, and it seems obvious at the time. You do worry if it's just you're just FOMOing in, but it's Tadic, right? So there's a couple of key reasons for that. He's moved already. He's in a 2-year deal. Obviously reduces any threat of going to uncovered Saudi Arabia, all that type of stuff. The main reason I bought him on the first performance was Fenerbahce did pretty well in that game, but he really stood out in terms of AAA. And obviously, if he's taking all the sets and everything, then he's going to be a huge card. And people kind of don't believe, like me not owning him before and stuff. And obviously, around about the time where I was thinking about adding him, there were some links to Roma and everything. And at that point, I remember discussing them with somebody and saying, I won't go and everything. And then look at, the crazy situation where he kind of almost could have been going to Saudi Arabia. So that's really strengthened that position there as well. So we've discussed Theo Bongonda in the sort of different videos as well. So that's the sort of recent acquisition stuff. Still got a wee bit of a balance left as well. So I think there's a couple of plans at foot here. The first thing I'd say is I just don't really think I need 1,200 limited cards. And I know that's everybody's going to laugh at that and say, of course you don't need 1,200 limited cards. I don't. As a proportion of my overall gallery value, though, those 1,200 limited cards are about 5 or 6% of my overall gallery value. So I'm kind of comfortable with that because it's an interesting one to discuss just now, and this is why I want to do a sort of gallery review, because you've got loads of stuff happening just now. So tonight, confirmation fiat wallets being rolled out, which is excellent. You've got this fitness thing, which a lot of people don't really seem to like. I'm not a huge fan of it either. So you've got to factor that into your plans, and you've got any other sort of potential things. And obviously we've done a different video on the roadmap. When I was making these buys, obviously when you're buying like super rares and stuff, I'm not really thinking as much about the fitness side of things. I was just thinking about like optimizing the type of options that I've got available. So again, 1,200 limited. I think limited are pretty cheap just now. I mean, when the fiat wallet is active and people pay money in, obviously a lot of the serious users who play the rare levels and things will want to take some value in terms of rare cards. That's understandable. But a lot of people just play limited, and if you're playing limited and there's more money available, or there's more money being paid in, or more fun money available on the platform, then those could definitely rise. So that's quite interesting. But again, this number of 1,200, I think I'll try and cut down a bit, to be honest. I do have loads of fun playing all the different tournaments, and obviously you get loads of different SO coins and everything, and I'm not going to just cull them and just sell them all straight away or whatever, but I think at 5% of the gallery sort of value or whatever, I'm not too disappointed with that in terms of overall risk or whatever. The other thing obviously now is we've got the upcoming sort of 8 week long tournaments, all that type of stuff, and that's going to be really interesting to see how that works. Will there be some that are cross scarcity tournaments where you can maybe put in some limited, put in some rares, some super rares, or will they all be segregated into the different scarcities as well? Moving on to rares, obviously own 620 rares as well. So I think the main focus in rares has been trying to make sure, obviously, got enough good goalkeepers and things. Allison thinks a really good versatile buy because obviously age, 29 on the card, so he's still only 29, 30, and obviously he can play in the rare pro functions as well, so that's relevant for rares too. Overall, in terms of rares, I definitely do have too many rares, but I think coming back to Tadic, this is a sort of interesting one as well because obviously I've been quite Celtic daft since I've come on the platform as well, but you've got to admit that last season Benfica were probably a better stack than Celtic were overall. Fenerbahce are looking pretty good, so having Tadic, and also I've already got a couple of Fenerbahce cards, so Sebastian Szymanski's one I own in rare and super rare, and Ferdi Kadioglu's one I already own in super rare as well. So obviously when I'm making these buys, it's not just FOMO ins, like just buying a Tadic. I'm also thinking who can I use with these players in terms of a stack or a mini stack. Obviously there's talk of Livakovic going to Fenerbahce as well, and from that point of view, I might end up just rolling out a full sort of stack there too. Super rare wise, obviously I've got a lot of super rares as well. It's a nice position to be in. It's good to have a number of super rares, basically to enter the caps and everything, and to enter all different pro tournaments and stuff as well. One position I just want to sort of highlight here is goalkeepers, because that's a position that's getting pretty difficult, obviously. So, difficult from the point of view of you need a super rare goalkeeper, obviously, to enter super rare tournaments now. So for a while, their price was maybe held back or whatever by people just entering the rare equivalent or not buying a lower down super rare because they could get a rare who would average roughly the same. So Allison coming in helps. Runarsson is back at Arsenal, so hoping he gets a loan actually. I think we'll just stick with him. He's again good age for a goalkeeper. Courtois, was obviously the big one. Ivan Diouf was a big investment, but again under 23, good under 23 goalkeeper for this year. So it lets me play the under 23 rare, super rare, sorry, and somebody I can use going forward, I think too. Got quite a lot of guys who are kind of backup type options as well, but still got Joe Willis. Coy, I hope really moves. Please move. Please get a move. Nick College, interesting. He was absolutely excellent last season, so I really hope he doesn't go to Ajax just to sit on the bench. But I think there might be more to that story. I mean, obviously the Sparta manager of last season is now the Ajax manager, so if he does go, that's interesting. Joe Hart, I mean, paid a lot for him, and to be fair, I think he's paid himself back. Well, he will have paid himself back actually. Until Celtic actually sign a goalkeeper or whatever, I'm just going to have to stick with that. So he's out of contract next season. I think this may well be his last season at Celtic, but I'm not sure we're going to bring in a goalkeeper now this window, but, famous last words. We're talking about plans here, and I have listed All Black now, so obviously the reason I wanted to talk about super rare goalkeepers is just because now I brought in Allison, I don't really know if I need to have All Black as well. So he's on the market, and there's no real reason why I want to sell him in terms of ownership or utility or whatever. He's a really good goalkeeper to have because Atletico are pretty good at the back. You get loads of utility, plays for his international team, Atletico Madrid in Europe. You get all the games obviously in La Liga. The only downside is because he doesn't face a lot of shots. If he concedes, then he never really does a lot of base scores, but he's an excellent goalkeeper actually to have. Anybody's got loads of Ethereum, please pay Ethereum for him because I want to sell him. Have I sold him yet? No. Damn. Somebody buy him. But yeah, He's on the market, so we'll see. And some of the gallery plans obviously could relate to that too. Collection's going to be an interesting one for this season. So over and above what I'm doing here in terms of scaling up, collections are going to be really important too. So the interesting thing here is what's going to happen when the new season cards come. So obviously, like from a Celtic point of view, I'm pretty solid in these collections, and a lot of these guys, obviously, particularly last season's cards, have got really good sort of bonuses. So in fact, you can't actually see it here, but 5% on the collection, and then a lot of them have got quite high XP levels now as well. So, Footy Die is going to have a bit of a fun weekend in the giveaway, playing the Celtic lineups and many lineups against Ross County. Hopefully, an absolute hammering job. Man City one's quite an important one, obviously as well. So 4% just now, but that will become 5%. And again, obviously, if somebody comes out and just buys all of the new season Man City cards when the EPL cards come, then be behind the eight ball a wee bit there. But I think the interesting thing is, Sorare have obviously, with this proposed fitness update, have changed the dynamics of the cards. So the earlier levels are a wee bit harder and some of the later levels are a wee bit easier. So that again does more encourage like holding cards for a while. So this stuff's all set, This stuff's not really anything I'm going to be changing much. But from a point of view of like adding in cards, etc., obviously limited wise, I think I'm pretty much set in terms of what I'm doing. I think like people obviously talk a lot about moving between the scarcities and limited and rare and things, and I think at Tadic example earlier, I know he's a really top player and stuff, but it just shows you with like, especially with Leicester playing force, like if somebody really shows that they're going to be smashing it, confidence behind them because of the reduced amount of mints, obviously the price goes up quite a lot now. I haven't actually looked at this, but let's see what the actual Tadic floor is just now. There's no game this weekend, but there is a good upcoming game. In fact, no, it's not a good upcoming game because it's not covered. So they're not covering it, so I'm just talking rubbish. You look at the floor. So, alright, none have sold for an F, but look at that. Like, quite interesting, isn't it? So, what's that got to do with limited? Well, there's more limited, right? So, there's more opportunity for people to undercut or to list their cards or, to drag the price down a wee bit. So, if you've got like a sort of what you're happy with in terms of a limited collection, then obviously you've got a decision to make. Do you want to play in rares? Obviously, rare goalkeepers are quite expensive as well, so some people maybe not comfortable with it. Buy a rare goalkeeper, they get dropped, they get injured or whatever, it's a couple £100 they've got tied up and they can't really live with it. Obviously now you can play 220 and you can play with a limited goalkeeper and play some lower down rares, so that's interesting obviously as you move up. But I mean, I think that if you've got a significant amount invested in terms of value, like for example, if you had £10,000 worth of limited or whatever, I would be saying you should be owning some rares in terms of scarcity. So, you might not have many people on the platform, like they might already own various scarcities, but you should be thinking about moving up. And that's one of the things I really want to solidify or do here. So you'll see obviously these cards I'm buying and focusing on Ederson, Man City goalkeeper, who will be playing the Champions League. I don't think he'll get dropped, so yes. I don't think Ortega will take his place. Maybe I should spy on Ortega and handcuff him. In case people don't know what handcuffing means, is buy the backup goalkeeper so that goalkeeper gets dropped, you've still got the guy who's going to be coming in. But yeah, focusing on quality, focusing on scaling up quality, focusing on having the right sort of pieces available that can actually win you things. So one mistake I see people making quite a lot in terms of Sorare is they own loads of cards and they've got loads of entries and stuff, and kind of look at the gallery and you think none of them are really cards that win other cards. So, at this stage, what would be better to have, 30 cards or just have 6 or 7, but those 6 or 7 are from a really good stack with a couple of backups that can actually win you stuff, or maybe come from the same collection and get you extra XP. So I'd only make those changes obviously from a limit point of view, but I do obviously have some decisions to make from a rare point of view. Flicking back through the gallery now over and above that, obviously I still also do like to buy young goalkeepers. So brought Andre Gomez, who mainly because rookie card, I think it looks quite a nice card, and he's really highly rated at Benfica. So I'm not like afraid to kind of spend a bit to keep myself a bit more future proof as well. Yuri Sunderwald's an interesting one. Like anybody that's actually in any groups with me knows that I was saying that Ollie would be linked with Ajax at some point. Just could see it a mile off. Like there was this rumor about Rulli, and just thought like Ollie's definitely going to be the least linked there. So anyway, I picked up Sunderwald because obviously if Ollie goes, they might get somebody else in, but also he might get his chance. And the guy's only 22, so 50 quid. I mean, if you're moving into from limited to rare, one thing you can do if you can't afford goalkeepers is buy a few backups, right? Good example is the guy Noppert. He was the Holland goalie. He was the backup, I think, at Heerenveen. Eventually got his chance, but his rare was going for like 30 or 40 quid regularly for ages, and then eventually got his chance. Now, I know you're still taking a bit of a punt there that the guy's going to actually get a game, but if you manage to do that, then that's one of your ways of getting into rares, because then all of a sudden you've got a goalkeeper worth hundreds, but you've only paid 20 or 30 quid. So that's one way you can transition between the scarcities in terms of, do I say, well, what do I do now? Do I go and spend another 30 or 40 quid on a limited card? If that improves your teams and that's your fun element of it, fair enough. But also remember that rares have got a higher sort of ceiling in terms of prices, etc., because of the scarcity. Bongonda we've talked about a lot. Buonanotte, again, just a guy I just think is absolutely superb, and Brighton really handle these players really well. So if they're not getting games, then usually they'll get loans, etc. So in terms of super rare and unique strategy, obviously I want to be playing like all-star unique if I possibly can. Funnily enough, now I've sold Greg Taylor, that might actually stop me getting in this weekend for the Celtic game, but do you mean like you just got to make a decision there? I think I'm just not sure whether that rule regarding taking away the previous rule was you play 2 super rares, 3 uniques, and now they've changed it where you need to put 4 uniques in there, but I don't know if that came into play straight away or whether it's September. So anyway, if I can put in 2 super rares this weekend, then I'll be fine. But if I can't, then I'm snookered, I think, because I don't have a unique defender who's got a game this weekend. But the thing with uniques, etc., is you can drop them down as well. And again, with super rares, when people are getting into this sort of super rare realm, the good thing is obviously you can maybe make a plan to move up from rares to super rares. But super rares are quite versatile because you can use them in pros as well. And one thing I always try and do is maximise the sort of entry criteria. So if you're playing in a under 23 rare pro, if you've got 5 great rares or whatever, that's great. But I always like to try and get 1 or 2 super rares in, because even though you can enter 5 rares, when these guys hit, you want to max out the entry requirements. So if you get to cap to 20 super rare, if you can only afford a rare goalkeeper, fair enough. But if you can get a super rare one or whatever, then obviously you're maxing out the entry requirements because you're going with 5 super rares rather than choosing to play another guy that maybe scores slightly less, etc. So I'm just kind of aiming to work on that. And I think volume wise, in terms of actual volume of cards I've probably got too many cards overall. I'm never short of being able to actually enter tournaments or get teams in and things, and obviously that's going to be important with having soul coins and being able to use those soul coins for our things as well. So I'll review that, but at some point maybe I'll try and cut it down a bit in terms of overall amounts and increase the quality. Another thing that I see people doing is like using their coins to buy hats and stuff. So I don't want to knock it, but for 15,000 coins, you could have had 1% on a rare. So I would leave the hat, honestly. I would just leave the hat. I don't really get into stuff like that now. Obviously, this balance is a bit low just now for a couple of reasons. There's less running through the summer, so when all the games are back, then I'll get quite a lot of soul coins per weekend and stuff because I'm a maniac and I've got all of these cards and stuff and I enter all the tournaments and in that case. But um, I'm not sure people have been aggressive enough in terms of actually using these for level ups. Like, so you go into the shop, it's 3,000 for a limited. It's not cheap. But limit is probably the most important scarcity to actually level up some players. I have used it in limited as well, so I've used it for De Bruyne and Haaland. Haaland's an obvious one, it's like I'm just not going to be selling that card, so worth spending something on it. There's a hat there. You want a hat? It says Sorare on it. Rare level, you could get 1% on a rare. Now, I don't know if anyone's really like obviously been in this scenario, but you're like maybe third, and it's like a $500 bubble or something, or a bubble between a star rare and a tier one rare or whatever, and you're winning by like half a point. You're sweating Opta every time. You've got frozen shoulder, checking your phone all the time. Is it up to change the points, all that type of stuff. So 1% on a rare is quite important. I'm not saying that a so rare hat isn't important, but I'd rather win stuff in tournaments. So have a think about that. Like, I'm not knocking anybody that wants so rare merchandise or whatever. Great, get your merchandise. That's superb. What I would really like is the shirt. I think the shirt looks amazing, but I just think you should be using your in-game coins and stuff to actually improve your players, improve your teams, that type of stuff. So I know you can't spend them on actually buying players, but if you can actually level up, if you can get extra level ups on your players, then do it. And remember, the earlier levels are going to become more difficult soon as well. So leveling up, you'll maybe have to think about it a wee bit sooner in your journey through the actual scarcities as well. So coming back to the sort of overall cards, I think this has been a reasonable sort of review of what I've got going on. Obviously, there's going to be a big focus on Celtic soon, so Celtic are back. I'm going to do a separate update on that. Obviously, later on this week with some specific looks at what Celtic are doing. So there will always be a heavy focusing on that, but I think I'll be kind of just trying to diversify a wee bit. Obviously, having guys like Bongonda, Dusan Tadic, guys from Fenerbahce, etc. Just so that I'm not just completely reliant on Celtic all the time. And obviously, that does help you with different game weeks as well. Celtic got 2 games, and then there's a cup game. So 3 weeks into the season, there's a bloody cup game on already. Cup games are not covered in terms of S5, so having a good variety if you're able to hold it is quite important as well, just so that you can get teams out this week. In terms of upcoming game week, I've got quite a lot of actual teams like shown out. Obviously all these limited ones are footy dies this week, but in terms of actual like this level of things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like 5 teams have got like goalkeepers who don't even start. So all these thousands of cards or whatever, and actually don't have enough goalkeepers this week. So you've got to think about that and plan ahead as well. I think the other thing I'm really trying to do just now is plan ahead for just like all the upcoming game weeks, etc. So I've even bought like a Benzema because that team, I can't remember their name, Al Hilal, just call them that team after they signed Jota. Like he'll come in and he'll play with Jota in the midweeks. So at this stage, I think you've got to sort of think ahead and try and plan for what's coming. So it's great just now because you've got MLS running, you've got Argentina running, you've got Brazil running and everything. But in a couple of months' time, November-ish, whatever, a lot of these leagues will actually finish, and then you're going to have a spell of just having Europe. So obviously I've focused a lot on having those options, and actually bought quite a few cards from the EPL and everything sort of last year when they came out, obviously. So picked up guys like James Maddison, pretty good move to Spurs. Quite happy with that as long as he's on obviously sets, etc. Even picked up guys like Reece James, etc. Hopefully he stays fit. That'd be a good start. Guys like Saliba as well. Do I really need Saliba? Maybe not. I don't know, but like Arsenal are in Champions League, so you've got to think about different game weeks, weekends, midweeks as well. Try and play the different game weeks. So that's all part of the strategy. In terms of where I go next with buys, etc., did try and get a deal done for a Calais Gill super rare today. Nearly done, but the Donna Sorare got a better, well, not better offer, but an Ethereum offer, and decided to take that. So a bit disappointed with that because Gill's one I'd really like to get in. But I think one thing I really want to do now, I really want to focus on quality. Like, even if you're playing limiteds, etc., as well, you always want to focus on quality. Like, if you're playing loads of different lineups, etc., and you want to be successful and stuff, just buy a Messi. Just buy one. Like, if you've got some guys that are hanging around and you could sell 5 or 6 players and raise the money or whatever, just go and buy one. The guy is the best scoring player on the platform at the moment. Just get one. So. I'm not encouraging anybody to FOMO in buying Messi, but the best player ever. He's in the MLS. He's going to smash that up as far as I can see, and just try and focus on increasing the quality. Try and give yourself good options, because people always ask me quite a lot how I end up like winning a lot and stuff, and I think a lot to do with it is obviously all these different options that I've got, but how I always sort of adapt and sort of trade and get into different stacks or scale up the cards, etc. Because one of the huge mistakes I made when started in the platform was I never bought any super rares, and probably kind of got away with it a wee bit from the point of view of rares went up a lot in price. But when rares went up in price, super rares exploded. Actually getting a good super rare was nearly impossible. Probably where like the prices a lot of uniques are and stuff now. So that was a kind of mistake, and obviously I'm trying to balance that out now. So if you can get something that's scarce, like a shirt number or a Sorare's card or a Champion Edition card or a higher scarcity or whatever, think about stuff like that, because just doing the same thing over the next couple of years might not just retain value in cards unless you're winning a lot. Obviously, if you're winning a lot of cards, then that can be good as well. Quite like, actually, so I see. Now I've got a couple of Man City cards I'm thinking about. One of the main men. So this a guy I don't really have. See, he was on the bench the other day as well. So prices. The only thing that kind of puts me off this a wee bit, obviously buy a 5% one, then that's going to go to zero now. So, that's not really ideal. But yeah, I mean, if you look at De Bruyne, look at those prices there. And I know he's a wee bit younger, and then look at Bruno Fernandes and scores and stuff, and he's like this price, so that might be kind of somewhere I go soon. I'd love to have a Kevin De Bruyne, actually, just obviously Man City wise, you've got that sort of pep roulette and everything going on, but somebody like that would be really good. I don't think there's many better options in terms of Champion Europe, actually, and obviously just coming back to these guys again, one thing I really have done here is, kind of giving myself quality. So I think that's really something everybody should be looking at in their gallery. Do I just have a lot of cards that are kind of average, or do I have guys that can win on SO5? And I'm pretty excited for the season to come back soon, to be honest. So, still be a heavy focus on under 23s, Celtic, more Celtic, but trying to improve obviously these options in Champion Europe and everything as well, because Champion Europe's pretty difficult, but also the prizes are excellent as well. See where Mbappe's going to too. So I think that's everything I want to talk about just now. I thought it would be a good idea just to give everybody some thoughts, and I actually planned this before Greg Taylor etc. sold, so it's kind of like quite good to explain the reasoning there as well. I don't think if you own Greg Taylor or Starfelt, you really need to panic and just go and dump them or any of that type of stuff. But obviously, we're at a point just now where Celtic are still signing players, got a new manager coming in. We need to see who he really sort of favours from that point of view. So getting that good offer in just let me do some of this stuff, and I think so far I've used it pretty well. So hopefully everyone's enjoyed the video again in terms of what we're doing soon. Another giveaway winner at the weekend. I'm going to do a Celtic preview, so I should have that up around about maybe tomorrow night or Wednesday. So look at what's been happening with the squad, some selections, etc., and then we'll go from there. So thanks very much for watching again. There'll be another video soon where I'm saying hello to the channel. Hopefully people are not taking the piss out of me too much for that. But again, yeah, thanks very much for watching. See you all soon.